8 teams have become 7. And we're not done with elimination matches yet today, ladies and gentlemen, here at the Kickoff Clash Tournament. Live, of course, on the Arlington Esports Stadium. My gosh, quite the stoush that previous matchup was when we saw the Washington Justice fall short in that lower bracket. And now it's do or die for Toronto and Houston.
And I actually like Toronto in this series. I know it probably upsets some people in the crowd. Yeah, I hear the boos. I don't care. I'm not going to change my pick. I like
played
Toronto.
COD. I mean, come on, he's used to it.
Yeah, I've been booed worse. I really like Toronto in this series. I think Houston the other day, we've seen them run really nice, Doomfist setups, and kind of got shut down the other day. Today they may need to change their game up, and like how much practice have they had on that? I think Toronto's got a pretty solid roster, nothing too exciting. I would favor the Defiant.
The Toronto Defiant, we saw what they were capable of yesterday. A very close matchup against that Dallas Field. The first map was really quite exciting. Series didn't quite tell the whole story, but there's another chapter to be written in that tale. So let's bring them onto the stage now. Make some noise for the Toronto Defiant. Now we talk about teams with different looks, different options, right? I think one of the biggest criticisms we leveled at the Outlaws was sticking to that one tank style. This team's got Hotba. Muse, though, in their starting roster, towering over his teammates.
I was going to say, between him and Kaluge, these tanks are tall.
Yeah. Exactly. You need that imposing presence in and out of the server, Matthew.
I don't know why. I don't remember him being that tall.
Yeah, I mean, these guys shooting up like weeds. What can I say?
People
feed
grow.
them well over there.
People grow.
Some people, Matt. Now, Toronto Defiant here, of course, looked very, very competitive. In that Dallas Field series, I thought that their grasp of the control map was really good. Hotba was crucial as they worked that Zarya-based composition. We're expecting a different look from them now. As it's the same map. We're going to see Lijiang Tower first up in the series. Spoilers. So we already see a pivot in approach from the Defiant, and I wonder how much it has to do with their opposition.
Well, they've also allowed Muse to play really aggressive when he's in the game.
He wants to be that kind of player.
And he wants to play that aggressive. And you have an Ana player like Twilight on the roster. You're able to play some of these Winston comps with Twilight on the Ana, with Muse on that Winston playing aggressive. You think good things can happen.
Yeah, good looks for them. But now, they're not the only team, of course, facing potential elimination. So, let's give a good old-fashioned Lone Star welcome to the Houston Outlaws! Crunch time for this team. Getting selected by the Gladiators. They knew where their bread was buttered. They knew what they'd be going up against, but I felt like they really fell on the Dante Doomfist sword yesterday. I can tell you looking at the stage, already a different tack from the Outlaws.
Yeah, it'll be Picky in the starting lineup today. So Picky usually has played more of the off-tank roles in the past. And I also think, I think, quick side note, like Dante on the Doomfist has been very good. It's just teams have, maybe have learned how to play against those Doomfist
We've
comps.
progressed past that point of matching that comp.
Yeah, teams have learned how to play against those comps a little bit better than maybe earlier on. But you have you look at this roster top to bottom, you think they should be contending for some of those positions on Sunday.
I think definitely, Lastro's really adapted very well in his role, in providing a lot of that Lucio presence here. Iris was definitely one of the best Baptistes that we'd seen in the Overwatch League. It's not a role that he finds himself on as much now, with just the way the meta has shifted. And his team's got Pelican, for God's sake. I mean, this roster, obviously, they have probably the hardest team to go up against in their first match. So in their minds, they're thinking, we're here to run this lower bracket all the way to the bank.
Right, I mean, you can make an argument, and I think a really good one, that the Gladiators have looked the best so far this weekend. Right?
Yes.
I mean, Kevser, Ryan, I mean, the whole crew is just clicking on all cylinders. And maybe it's just they ran into the team that's the toughest, right? And maybe that's kind of the story of the Outlaws' first round in that winter bracket. I think, though, Toronto, they ran into a tough opponent as well, and they looked quite good.
Yeah, Toronto having to go from one Texas team to the other in these matchups. Again, a potential hostile situation given the home crowd. The Houston Outlaws, we need to see more from them, obviously, than that Doomfist look. We've seen Piggy on Zarya at times. I think the last time we saw it from the Outlaws, it looked like it definitely needed a little work. There were some rough edges that had to be sanded back. this team definitely is going to be looking to draw on a home crowd, or somewhat home crowd.
Local crowd, I guess.
Yeah.
They're not even.
I know that. I know. I bet there's some people
from here.
A decent trek. I know some people have made the trek though, for sure. Lijiang Tower, first map in this series, and again, Toronto already had a different game plan for this map, as predicated by their roster selection.
And also the Outlaws. What do we see them play today with Piggy in the lineup? Do you see the Zarya compositions? Do we see some Reinhardt? Do we see some Sigma? It'll be interesting what the Outlaws have cooking today.
Yeah, Sigma, maybe if it's a Circuit Royale.
Yeah, Circuit Royale, yeah.
Haven't seen much of that so far this week. Control Center going to be where it all begins. You have to wonder what the Defiant have up their sleeve. Again, Muse is the kind of player that's always wanted to be very aggressive, and you know, on that Gladiators team, maybe the sort of call was to be a bit more reactive than proactive, but Muse has definitely been unchained on this roster. We expected great things from the rookie last year, right? He and Mag sort of came into the league as two players with fated histories that were expected to step up and be genuine threats, and maybe Muse was a little more muted for much of the year.
And it looks like whenever there's a pause, I always look at the stage, see what's going on. It looks like everybody's all right. So this one might not be a long one. Looks like MPL will get right back into this. Looks like both teams hovering over the Reinhardt base comps.
That's fascinating.
The London Spitfire may not be here in person, but they're here in spirit.
It's time for the Reinhardt mirror match. Piggy versus Muse.
You have Merit playing the Cassidy, so Cassidy versus the 76. 76 really good at pressuring down those shields, where the Cassidy could be a little bit more effective against that Mei in medium range.
Already Ice Block forced out by Pelican, who's playing a little to the right of where Piggy's shield was, so not able to mitigate enough damage.
You also think Muse should have an advantage in this matchup, right? He is a main tank player from Overwatch 1 going up against a off-tank player now, picking up the Reinhardt here in Overwatch 2.
Yeah, it was Jungkook playing Reinhardt for the Houston Outlaws, meaning huge moments created from them, especially at the start of the season. But the Toronto Defiant, it's an extended neutral fight here, but as Pelican is the first to fall, the Defiant go up a gear.
You think with Muse wanting to play that aggressive play style, right? Playing it against a player playing the Reinhardt, where we don't know how much experience Piggy has playing it, right? I'm sure there's been a ton of times in scrims where they've had to work on it, right? Split up some of those tank responsibilities. So that'll be an Ant Matrix with a Fire Strike going through right away.
Looked like no connection there, but an early Immortality Field had to be deployed. Oh my, Muse, it was a pretty hefty shatter. He's able to pick himself up, but only for a moment. The sound barrier was employed by Chorong, but it wasn't enough as the damage came back doubled.
Yeah, good counter shatter there from Piggy. Muse connected with 3, but will be Piggy responding with a shatter and a amped Fire Strike of his own.
Crucially, I mean, this is where Iris is at his best. We kind of talked about that earlier when on the Atlanta Reign, his Baptiste was freakishly good. Again, the deployment of the Immortality Field must have been in a place where the Defiant weren't able to destroy it, so they couldn't capitalize on that shatter and gave the Outlaws enough time to respond. Ooh, Merit, little patchy there. Definitely an opportunity to find elimination or force an Immortality Field. Instead, it's going to be Outlaws pulling theirs out, and they've got to be wary of this Tactical Visor coming in from outside of the arena. Merit has safe positioning here, but Pelican could be in danger after it comes out of the Ice Block. It's a Blizzard thrown down, but he gets clapped before he has a chance to do anything with it.
Yeah, Merit ends up using the Deadeye to try and save Piggy there. Piggy gets walled off. They throw a Blizzard right on top of him. Just trying to challenge that Deadeye, keep him alive. Not able to do so. Surprised they threw the Blizzard there at the end, right? Where Pelican throws it in. So come back into this next fight. Toronto already had the lead. They'll have an Ant Matrix here. Mew's going to get very close to that shatter.
Merit playing in such a way as to not be able to get much value out of Mag Grenade. We really want to be up close, and he's playing longer sidelines, using the mid to long range potential of Cassidy. Finale's again concerned about someone wrapping around at the moment. There's now an Ant Matrix online for Iris and Twilight respectively, and those shatters could be a factor. Muse is definitely ahead, but he got charged there. It's going to be an early Immortality Field. Does Muse choose to go for it here? It's Iris. That's the Baptiste presence that we hinted at It's a personal Amp Matrix to give him the extra damage, and it works.
Yeah, there's an Amp Matrix in the mix for Twilight as well. Does not really matter. As Finale trying to stall this out, it'll be Toronto getting to 99. So coming in this next fight, you got a shatter on both sides. The big thing to look at though is Chorong with that sound barrier. Sound barrier could be huge here.
Last time he had it, it wasn't enough to protect his team against the follow-up from the shadow that came in from Piggy.
A few times they've been able to wall Piggy off though, and you know, you wall them off, and look at this, although on the high ground, that's a really nice position.
Merrick got forced out of line of sight. There's a shadow around the corner. Piggy trying to emulate his previous teammate. Oh, big slam from Muse. Immortality Field has to be used there. Merrill was looking for a mag grenade connection, but it wasn't forthcoming. Blizzard from Finale. That one is going to put the Outlaws under here. Piggy's forced to look on as a wall comes between him and his objective. He's going to be knocked back by Chorong. No touch, no chance. First round goes to the Defiant.
You see Muse get lifted up on the Maywall and jump over and kill the... It was like a 3-player shatter the Deadeye was going on. It's like some Fortnite stuff going right over the top. Just build them up. So, don't expect that all the time.
No.
Reinhardt coming over the top of the Maywall to shatter. So, I think you see where Muse, you can really unlock his full potential. You get him playing aggressive as... In the Winston-based composition here.
Now the Outlaws...
Toronto, as the Outlaws look like they want to play the Rhine again.
All right, sticking to their guns here. They did that yesterday in a different way. Now they're going to stay with the Symmetra here as well. It only really works with the Reinhardt setup, having a shield to work behind. A very different look here from the Outlaws. And it'll get them onto the point first, Matt, with that TP into the window.
The Winston pretty good, though, against the Sim in terms of getting rid of the turrets. It's how do you attack this? Is Finale putting some pressure from the backside. You're going to have to try and get an advantage for the Soldier 76. Trying to find a lane to be able to shoot from. You have to be so careful, though. Don't want to get split off by the May.
Flank here, for although a little bit of pressure, but doesn't want to expose himself to Lastro's boot. So now Muse will have to knock on the front door for a time. This is the Defiant splitting their forces a little bit, still wanting to work a Soldier 76 flank. It's risky, and Lastro is he's thirsting for a booth opportunity.
This is where you would like to have maybe even like a Pharah opportunity here, right? No hit scan pressure on the other side. Pharah really strong and able to like hover on the outside and put some damage down from the opposite way. Make it pretty difficult to make a play. It'll be a Genji swap here though for Finale. So I go with the Genji, a little bit more burst.
You don't have to worry too much about your spacing from the main tank because it's not a Winston, right? That's when it can be a problem. Although bounces Lastro out of the server there as Muse drops in with a nano boost. Immortality Field already deployed and Piggy sleeping. Soon to be with the Fishers at this rate. Now his teammates are gone by the time he wakes up. Just Merritt here, relatively charged up, but once that Ryan is out of the picture, sleeping or eliminated, the Symmetra's effectiveness drops.
We'll see if they decide to stay on the Sim, maybe just because you're so close to the wall, but even if you wanted to move away from it, you get 55% off of that TP and just that lockdown potential that you have on the point. It's still worth. Is this going to be a TP straight to point?
Shatter. Piggy might go for some hijinks, playing through the TP.
That's a
bionic nade! Immortality Field, it's going to take more than that to save Muse. Twilight says lights out.
And as that bionic grenade had to be perfectly timed as that Symmetra wall was coming down.
And there's a Reinhardt shield in the way as well.
Yeah.
How do you make that happen?
I mean, Twilight kind of gets lost, right? Because he goes to San Francisco and he plays a bit there, right? But when he was on the Titans, he's an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Like at that level of player, there's not many teams in the league that have a player that caliber.
TP gets the Outlaws to the point. It's going to be Venn diagram of sound barriers here. Piggy's shatter connects onto 3. That's just what the doctor ordered. And the physician for the Defiant may be a little concerned, but still, the Outlaws now speed boost forward. Piggy says, no, we've done enough here. That'll do. That'll do.
Yep, you'll lose Finale here as he does not make it out in time. although it goes over to the Ashe. So interesting. So they are playing pretty clumped together, so maybe you get some more value out of the Dynamites here. You're still be able to put down some consistent damage.
There's no flank pressure either.
Yeah, still able to put down some consistent damage on the shields and do it at a little bit of a safer range. Nano Blade, though, on deck. Nothing to counter it on the other side.
Just that immortality field, which will have to be timely for Mirrors. If it gets forced, that could be a problem. Finale, Nano, and Blade. Immortality field is taken down, and Lastro lingers a little too close to this Apex Predator. Merritt tries to stave him off, but again, too many teammates falling. Mirrors across the point is able to find elimination. There's still a Reinhardt in play. The Outlaws have gotten to 99. They're going to have to be satisfied with that.
So the Ashe now could be a big impact. You can play a little bit at a further range. We'll see they keep trying to TP directly to the point. If you do that, you can get a big dynamite, right? Coming through the TP if people actually use it. Last time they, fake the TP. So, see, you do have Iris getting close to an Ant Matrix. So you could TP to point, then Ant Matrix looks like they want to TP right on top of all those.
To catch all those! Oh, they walked straight into a 4-player bionic grenade, though. That has to be the immortality field used early. But Piggy's able to find, although at least it's a 1-for-1, but the immortality field is down, and Piggy doubles down himself. It's 2 for the Reinhardt. Muse has found Lastro, though. Iris needs to step up, but Piggy's stacking the bodies high, and he has an Earth Shatter available. Muse needs to use his bubble wisely here as the Outlaws take us into overtime. Green wall. Old ones remember.
Finale should be able to touch here. You should be able to contest your Toronto. You're going to have a sound barrier here too.
Toronto needs to make it work, but Finale catches a straight Helix rocket in the 180 shatter, and Chef's kiss from Piggy. Now, throw the meal in the fridge. Keep it cool as the Outlaws make a meal of the Defiant.
That was a really nice play there from Houston. A bit of a gamble. Go right on top of Bordeaux, but they know how much of a damage source he is, and at range, he's going to be difficult to deal with. They go right on top of him, finish him off. You did end up losing a few players in that fight in terms of, you had like 3 or 4 players with a biotic grenade coming through, Primal coming down. Seemed like it could be bad news there for the Outlaws, but they pull it out in the end to give themselves a chance here on Lijiang Tower.
What do you make of Merritt staying on the Symmetra here? Obviously, the utility is undeniable, but outside of that, is there enough output?
I don't know if you're right here. You see that Toronto hovering this far up. If they are going to run this, I fully expect this Pharah composition to do. All right, so Merritt over to the 76. I still think Pharah could be pretty impactful. Pharah with the Mercy, still strong.
Finale playing close towards that central tower, making sure Merritt can't work him down. Iris is also a threat. Sharp as attack when it comes to that Baptiste aim. And an Icicle or two couldn't hurt either. Pelican pressuring.
This makes it so difficult for the Reinhardt. He's not able to go in and dive on anybody, and he's taking damage from the 76 and the Pharah from either side. But the Muse dropping first, though.
Yeah, Finale, though, now. Impact starting to be felt. The problem is it takes a while for Pharah to get going in these fights, to get in position. You don't have that burst to one-hit combo potential that Echo has. Pelican can use that Reinhardt shield, stay alive a little longer, but there's no Iris.
It's this damage over time, though. It's just this constant poke chip damage coming down from the Soldier in the Pharah. Makes it so difficult to deal with.
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, Pelican going as low as he did with Iris out of action meant the Outlaws had to back up, but there's a bit of a Lucio. Oh, yes. Lastro contests and banks up another couple of percent here as the Outlaws will have to succumb. Eventually.
Iris will drop, so. Now it'll be Toronto in control of the point. They have to use nothing to flip the point back in their favor, as Iris will go over to the Ana now. So the Ana actually will help against that Pharah Mercy, right? The Ana does do a decent bit of damage currently. So, oh man, as you see, Finale getting set up in a great position, hovering right over the top of the Outlaws right now.
Ana switch. No immortality field, maybe. I mean, it's curious indeed. We'll talk about it later. This Finale is looking for a place to make this barrage work, but he's put to sleep. Iris finds the miracle dart. Still will fall, sadly, as Muse is able to make use of that primal rage, and it will still be the Outlaws sent out to pasture.
It's not bad for Houston, though, man. Gonna have a res here at the end, but Toronto just kind of everybody hit Q all at once, and now you come in. Yeah, Valkyrie, which they're obviously going to provide some extra healing boost here, but big ultimates online for Houston. Biotic Grenade early, that's going to force out a block real quick.
Muse with the pleasantries there as the Outlaws are going to group themselves up here. It's going to be Valkyrie in play here as Merritt goes for the attack visor, and, well, the Defiant don't have the option to make themselves scarce if they're knocked to the ground. Muse runs into the crit there, but still Chorong with a key res.
Yeah, and the res is huge. Looks like the Blizzard goes down. That's going to result in nothing, so rocket barrage there from Finale. Good damage down there as he's going to switch over to Tracer to get right back into fight. We're looking at last fight potential here for Houston.
Houston going to go for a new look here. Picky Winston, Pelican Tracer. Pretty traditional looks here. They need to get value out of this sound barrier for Lastro. It has to convert. Here's the speed forward. Lastro trying to stay outside of the bubble, but Piggy is sleeping with that nano, no less. Bionic Grenade connecting on to Iris here. Lastro's sound barrier doesn't help his honor. It's going to be a recall for Pelican here on the point. Finale looks unbothered for the most part. Now attention turning towards him. He doesn't have a recall. Getting a little bit low. The healing comes through. And healing, no less, from Chorong to keep him standing. But for how long? Helix Rocket connects. Finale is down and Chorong will follow.
Toronto will concede the point back to the Outlaws. Outlaws have to be perfect from here on out. The scary part is Nano Visor on deck. How do you play around this, right? Toronto, they could just speed right on in, use this Nano Visor, clear out the point. You got the Primal as well. That's exactly what they're going to do.
Not much you can do about this. This is scary for the Outlaws, and Iris already riddled with bullets. Now the chase is on, although able to find Merritt. And the Defiant have the perfect combination of ultimates just to steal back into the point. Lastro also won't be given any room to breathe, and a Toronto Defiant have the ultimates they needed. Pelican, almost a pulse here. Can he make use of it? Can he get a player advantage? Not to be. The Houston Outlaws bowled over by that Nano Visor.
There's nothing you can do about that. Nowhere to run and hide, especially when he's getting the Nano, the Visor, the speed boost. It just comes so fast that there's nowhere for you to run there against that 76, although able to pick up 3 there.
We see the Defiant try a few things. There's a Farah Mercy in play, punishes the Reinhardt look from the Outlaws, who are trying to get cute with some of their tank looks, but it's not enough to give them the W in map number 1. The Outlaws need to turn up here. They want to be at the other end of this bracket, surviving in their home state. Stick around, everybody, because map number 2 is minutes away. being in the lower bracket, facing the potential of elimination, you can see what it does to these teams and what it pushes them to try for new looks or different looks from both sides here as the Defiant bring news in for map 1 in this series. We get Farah Mercy from Finale. They're ready to adapt to Houston, try to make this Reinhardt Symmetra look work.
They tried in map number 1, trying a little something different there, bringing in Piggy to play those tank roles, but change coming into map number 2. We'll be going to Eichenwald, and it'll be Dante coming in. So Dante we've mostly seen on the Doomfist, so fully expect that Doomfist-centric comp coming in here on the second map.
Present in the Overwatch League in its inaugural season, Dante, been around longer than most, hailed for his incredible flexibility and his work ethic. It was said of him by, the coaching staff over at the Shock when he was on there that this guy could legitimately play everything. And the question is, will it be the Doomfist once more? Will the Outlaws look to that composition, the one that fits them just like a comfy onesie, to try and snap back in this series, or do they need to try something a little different?
It has to be, you would think. If you were going to play the Winston, if you were going to play Reinhardt or Sigma, you would probably have Piggy in. And, the Eichenwald, it's been pretty good for Doomfist players. So I think that's what we're going to see. I think Toronto, they probably have something planned against that.
No substitutions for the Toronto Defiant side of things, so expect to see Muse showing his best in this series. We talked about it. We've seen a lot of different approaches on Eichenwald so far, and more recently, Zarya-based compositions have been pretty popular, right? Just sending the Reaper upstairs with a bubble and seeing what he can come back with. And obviously using Doomfist to make transitions between high and low grounds pretty comfortably is quite useful, especially for a team like the Outlaws. Remember, this is the Houston Outlaws that showed a fantastic Eichenwald game against the London Spitfire. They were extremely good at using Dante to dig that Baptiste of Landon out the back line. So it's very clear that they can play to a couple of different win conditions with the Doomfist. They can be flexible.
Right, but that's against London, who's going to run those Reinhardt-based compositions. I doubt we're going to see that here from the Toronto Defiant. On defense, the Outlaws showing exactly what we thought they would run, right? They're going to be running that Doomfist-based composition. Have Iris play the Moira. So you're going to have the Reaper in here too.
Yeah, I mean, and you definitely feel like, okay, we've seen switches to Moira by a few of those sort of support players so far, and it quite often correlates to fear of being dove and the desire to have that extra step of mobility to avoid just disintegrating when a Genji or a Winston looks at you wrong.
Sal Lastro, get up here on the pylon, get a little bit of a look. Finale, just a jump shot there. Nothing going to come through. Let's see what he decides to play. Okay, so you're going to play Tracer. So no 76. 76 is a dive target sometimes in the background. Going to play the Tracer. It's going to put a lot of pressure on Dante, right? The Tracer's pretty good with the Genji against Doom.
Merit's playing, obviously, the Reaper without a Zarya backup. So the style of play, Matt, has to be really different.
Yeah, way different. The Doom's going to go in, and the Reaper's going to just basically try and follow it up. The Reaper is not the frontliner like when you see it in those Zarya-based compositions. Is Toronto just move through the choke a little bit, pressure, and then they'll back up.
Not looking to overcommit there on that Doomfist. Getting closer towards that Meteor Strike, which is a get-out-of-jail-free card. And although couldn't chase after Lastro, who was limping away, but the Defiant inch ever closer here, looking to try and take things in their own hands until the Outlaws choose to start the fight on their terms. Pelican playing from the fringes here as he and Finale exchange blows, and Finale was getting close to a pulse bomb there. Still, it may not matter. Iris is going to be hit with a biotic grenade. No chance to escape. It's Pelican who has to stand tall in the absence of that support. Break walk here. This is bad for Merit. Yep, he'll be chased down. That's the scary part about playing Reaper here, Matt.
Yeah, you do have Pelican still there. Dante coming off spawn. You have the Meteor Strike, you can have Coalescence. Maybe you can get back here and challenge this. You're not going to be at full strength, though. The Outlaws, they move forward a little bit, but then decided, let's not throw anything after this. Let's let them take the point and then play a close D.
Couple of weaknesses just compositionally for the Outlaws get exploited, but they're willing to continue fighting now. Iris is going to come in with a coalescence that's going to require Chorong to dig for the sound barrier. There's a Dragon Blade here, and Iris is already felled by it. Although looking extremely comfortable here on the Genji, makes short work of Pelican, who was really the Outlaws' shining star in that previous fight.
Tell you, I really like this Toronto team. We said it a few times during the season, like probably the best one they've ever put together for Overwatch League, and I think they have a lot of potential, and we're starting to see them maybe realize that here in Texas, as they'll be able to win that fight. You hold on to some key ultimates though for Houston, you should be able to win this next fight. If you don't win this next fight, you're in a lot of trouble.
And you want to maintain control of that high ground if you can. Pelican's like, oh, I've got some overshield, better go to work. Catches a stray, surely from Twilight. And it's going to be picked up by Although as a result, but not a big deal, more of a footnote in the fight for the Outlaws as they break theirs off and the Defiant's behind.
Speed boost, sound barrier, go right in, bowl over the supports. That's kind of the plan there, and they executed it to perfection. So the Reaper trying to sit up on the high ground. You see where Merit is? Gonna maybe just wait, get some information from one of his teammates, then jump down and approach with this Death Blossom.
We'll get to see the proof of concept for this Zarulus Reaper look. Merit needs to make a Death Blossom work, and he won't get any defensive utility. Dante gets chased down there. Good setup. That was Twilight getting involved now, and Pelican another wayward pulse bomb without a recipient. Merit a bit awkwardly sort of out in the open, has to just TP backwards, and again that Reaper looking for a chance to show up.
You know, when the Doomfist has power block, I think teams know now, obviously don't shoot it.
Great.
And you're able to get like biotic grenades, sleeps, the Tracer kind of flanking behind, doing big damage, and right there you saw a power block, and then they just threw a biotic grenade at it as a Nano Boost goes on to Muse. He's just looking at, oh, it goes on Although actually, and he's looking for something.
Yeah, he's able to find Lastro at the very least, and that's the Death Blossom for Merit. Cut a little short, only able to find Twilight and then forced to back away. Really have to be critical of that choice here. It's not paying off.
This Pelican will go to Echo, so Echo can help burn some of these players down rather quickly, like jump on in, use that focusing beam with the damage that comes down from the Doom and the Reaper. Is it going to be good enough, though, with the Tracer in the mix?
Unsheathed and unleashed is Although. Really just warding the Outlaws away. Yeah, it was in every sense of the word, Matt. Unironically so. Finale able to clip Pelican's wings here, and Although is well entrenched in the vicinity of those backliners. Okay, Fade is able to be used there by Iris as that Coalescence fades away. Sound barrier now has to be used for the Outlaws. They've got to dig a little bit deeper here. Muse is going to get a defensive body grenade, and that's a nice little stick on the corner. It's going to be Iris forced to fade away from that pulse bomb.
And biotic grenade hit onto Dante. He tries to get back to the rest of that team, and both flankers there. You have the Genji and the Tracer in position to capitalize.
0.23 meters. The Outlaws have a chance to hold on for Dante to return to the fight there. Iris getting rid of Although is pretty big, slurping him on down, but a biotic grenade, that could be disastrous for the Outlaws. The last thing you want to be eating there. It's just not diet friendly.
You know, I think we ran the graphic the last time these teams matched up. It was a 3-2 for the Toronto Defiant. You can take some stuff that we saw from the series, I know yesterday that the Outlaws played. You can take some stuff from that match, right? You can start to put together a game plan tailored for this team, and it looks like that's what they've done.
Still the Reaper look for Merit here. Dante has to get out there. He ejects with the Meteor Strikes, quickly back into the fray, strikes off that biotic grenade, and Merit gets rid of Chorong here. This part of the map, maybe you think the Reaper can find value without backup, without extra utility dedicated towards it.
Yeah, this is a better portion of the map for Reaper, right? These close quarter areas, you can fight on these corners. Although it's been building up these blades rather quickly. You're gonna have another one here with sound barriers, so maybe you combo those in the mix, then you'll have the Nano saved for a little bit later. We'll see how Toronto decides to do this. They're kind of in the driver's seat right now.
Iris needs to be wary of pulse bombing if he's coalescing, but he's able to strike first and strike hard. Merit's there with the Death Blossom. The coalescence means that it's really impossible to remove the Reaper mid-ultimate. That's what the Outlaws need to do, start to waylay a little bit here. They shave a good 30 seconds off the clock with that fight.
You're not upset with that if you're Toronto. You use nothing. They ended up dumping a ton into that one, so you come back, Sound barrier is the only thing available for Houston. If you're Toronto, you know, you're kind of just looking at some of these ultimates. You have to have an idea that's the case, and Twilight dies right away.
The Outlaws explode there. Sound barriers for both sides, but Twilight got burst down, and that's what we're talking about. Echo doesn't need to ramp up. She doesn't go for that chip damage over the course of the fight like Farah does. You get in there, get your hands dirty, and get the job done.
Although, not an opportunity to use the blade. Pelican takes him out as Merritt getting a kill here as well, yeah.
Very nice.
Now it's started to pick up for Houston.
Echo is favored when you take the pace of the game into your own hands. As long as the Outlaws can be proactive, Pelican will always be able to gain purchase on some of these weaker targets and burst them down with the combo. And those ultimates, you talked about them. Defiant have lost them.
And Muse goes over to Zarya. They're going to play Zarya Reaper here, so... Oh, Finale gets right to the payload, just gets destroyed.
That's the look we need. Duplication of the Zarya here for Pelican. Finally, Merritt gets a bubble. Bit of damage on although here. He's able to knock Pelican out of that duplicate, but Iris comes in with the suck. It's overtime now, and Muse has got to toddle over towards the car. He's out of gas, as is this locomotive. And that'll be it for the Toronto Defiant. Finally shut down as the Outlaws get aggressive.
Yeah, and that's a good hold from the Outlaws at the end. You want to see that type of aggression. Maybe you can repeat that on offense. The Reaper wasn't really working out there towards the end, towards the beginning, and then once the end hit and you kind of got inside this close court area, the Reaper, I think really probably the Echo was the one that made the difference, being able to burn some of those targets down that the Reaper gets low with that focusing beam. And that's where it starts to really come alive for Houston. So we'll see what they decide to run here off the rip.
From Houston, it was an interesting variation, kind of a hybrid between the Zarya Reaper look and the Doomfist compositions. What is the consensus? Dante? Doomtank? Not sure.
No. Doomtank.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks for settling that for us, Matthew. Right, so the Outlaws here may have to go for a similar comp. I think like the look with Moira probably feels a bit better for you as an attacker. Again, if you continue and want to be proactive. The Defiant also want to, you know, play these sort of two dive DPS, so it stands to reason that Iris has made the move to the Mad Scientist.
Maybe we'll see Pelican go for the Echo. We'll see him on the Tracer probably at the start, but Echo looked to be a pretty strong pick for Pelican there. It was one strong pick from last season, right? Looked really good there as Merritt goes back to Reaper there after firing just a few shots into the wall.
Here we go. Immediately, you know, you can get up pretty close here. All right, Merritt TP into the back. Relatively undetected. Dante also making sure he lands in the same spot here, so.
Pelican goes back and switches to Echo, so this is what I was talking about. Maybe we see him go back to the Echo. They do it early.
Into the Hunter's Lodge we go. And it looks like it's Simeon on the menu. Merritt has to fade away. Wraithwalk rather. And the Outlaws try a bit of a thrust here. It will be turned aside for a moment. Pelican needs to be a little bit careful. Those eyes are starting to swivel in his direction. But Dante gets on a Chorong. That's big. Although he comes a little bit too late to the party, and Pelican gets the stickies.
Dante got a nice punch onto Twilight. Knocked him out of the fight early on.
That's what I'm talking about. They did this against London. Different comps, yes, but the objective is still the same. Get rid of that high throughput support first and do it with Doomfist.
And although we'll go over to 76, so 76 in Tracer, the damage dealer combo for the Toronto Defiant, as this will be pretty effective against the Echo as you see Pelican heading back to spawn. So it'll probably be a swap for Pelican, I imagine. Yep, gonna go over to the Tracer. Bring in a better option. The Echo here going up to the high ground would have been really tough.
Pelican also more easily able to join up with Dante. Now that although it's just toned back a little bit on the dive. Look, Pulse Bomb not there. Finale hoping to, again, body block in the aftermath of it. Spots the Outlaws, though, who are clearly occupied with something else. Getting that high ground control seems to be the order. Oh, again! Dante strikes. The Doomfist starting to shine a little bit more there. He just bulldozes his way through the formation of the Defiant. And again, this Winston setup defensively a little deficient when the Doomfist comes to play.
I don't think it's the Winston defense. I think it's the aggressive Doomfist on offense. You saw the Doom towards the end of this map be effective, and that was when they were being the ones that were starting the fights, kicking it off. So now you see the Outlaws upping the pressure here, and that's when Dante is clicking.
Power block developed here. Big double punch, and Dante minces through Twilight. Again, tough to get out of this position, cancelling that power block there. He knew he had the punch to get out. This is where the specialization on the Doomfist is starting to show up in a big way. All right, that's a time bank and a half.
5 minutes plus in the time bank. Some kills here going down towards the end of this. Great map selection for Houston as they have looked dominant here.
Plenty to work with in this next fight as well. They want to keep this proactive trend going. They've got the ultimates to do so. And they put the Defiant in a one-spite situation. Shell-shocked, stumbling away on the Defiant. Twilight going to get stunned early on here, and a sound barrier from Chorong. Lastro also reciprocates here. They're able to get purchase on Twilight. They lose Iris though, and although Tactical Visor, it's timely as you like. Dante there with a power block though, gets rid of although, and Finale as a pulse bomb he may not have to use. And Defiant are able to find their feet, even if just for a moment.
Finale tries to chase that kill on Dante. They may be able to just come right in and clean this up. As Dante jumps in, you're going to have a Coalescence coming in from Iris here too.
Here's the setup. Here's the Coalescence. Away goes Muse, a little bit low here. Pelican hit with a bionic grenade, but maybe not much to worry about here. As there it is, Muse plucked out of the mix. The Defiant. Not a lot you can do about this one. You just accept your fate as they become nothing but scorch marks.
Lightning fast time there for the Outlaws to tie it up. Dante comes in and plays tremendous there on the Doom. You got to imagine they try and keep him in, but with the Toronto Defiant map pick, could really pick something that gives the Doomfist trouble.
Again, I don't see Dante in a hurry to get out of his seat here. The Outlaws realizing, okay, yes, we may have been exploited a little bit, playing our Doomfist composition into the Gladiators, but the Defiant may not have the playbook to counter it. Okay, this one's starting to heat up, everybody. You best not be going too far as map number 3 is just around the corner. What's better than hitting a huge Primal Rage? Doing it in style. Tune in to watch 5 hours of the Kickoff Clash this weekend to claim your very own Overwatch League Winston home and away skins. Remember, if you're here in person, you can claim those in the Overwatch League app. And speaking of which, Matthew, we are getting some tank swaps, some substitutions. We said, Dante looks like he's comfortable there. That's until the map pit came through. And that seems to have changed things a little bit now for the Outlaws and the Defiant.
Yeah, and Toronto clearly showing their strategy is they want to avoid the maps that potentially this Doomfist could be good. Force the Outlaws to beat them on something else, because their pick for the next map for Escort will be Circuit Royale. So see Piggy come back in for the Outlaws, and it looks like the Defiant making some changes as well.
I see Hisu going to be subbing in here for Finale. Young player was definitely touted to really be the next coming of a top superstar DPS, and is starting to grow into that role now under this roster. We'll also see Hotbar, the self-professed new big boss for Muse.
So Hoppa probably ends up playing something like Sigma. We see Sigma a decent amount of the time on this map. I will say, off of like past play, like you'd have to say Piggy in the Sigma role.
Piggy Sigma's cracked.
Yeah, Sigma's good. It may not be as much of an advantage as the Toronto Defiant might expect.
But again, this map is pretty unique. I guess in a similar way that Gibraltar is, the sort of, the topography lends itself to, compositions that feature like Baptiste, sometimes even Zenyatta. See Zenyatta on this map sometimes. Again, sort of poke cop is really the way to play when you've got a Sigma in the mix. Discord Orb is, adds another layer of complexity to how the sort of, tanks play. Sometimes even we see, Symmetra to try and cover some of these gaps, get to high ground, and May plenty.
I think it's a big map for Toronto as well, in that both Colosseo and New Queen Street are pretty decent for the Doomfist compositions. We've seen teams run those to pretty good effect on that. So you have to pick one of them, right? So you end up winning this. It kind of secures you that game 5 in case things kind of go sideways and push.
And again, we've also seen Reinhardt comps on this map as well. Hanzo gets busted out just because the sight lines are pretty favorable. Looking at these two teams, Hanzo probably feels a little more likely.
I actually think, do you play, does Hisu come in, maybe play some Widow, potentially? Hanzo, Widow, like things like that? Like,
I mean, if anyone, maybe you expect that from, although as, I've seen him on that longer range hit scan from time to time. For Hisu, I mean, Hanzo's definitely a pick that he's been known for. Really played a lot of stuff, like alongside Neist, if you recall. Like, Hisu was obviously filling a lot of the gaps as Neist favored flanking opportunities, playing the Echo quite often. Circuit Royale, though, this will give us a unique opportunity to put these two teams under the microscope on a map that is, like we mentioned before, a little different to a lot of these other Escort maps in layout. And Yeah, already we're starting to see the Sigmas locked in.
Yep, Sigma. And when you see this, we definitely, like you mentioned, see the Zenyatta with the Brigitte. And Hisu is it to play that Widowmaker. So he looks like that Widowmaker, although be that flex that goes over to the Genji. What do you think the Outlaws play? I think Piggy is definitely obviously into play the Sigma.
Yeah.
Gonna have that. If you're gonna play the Sigma, you're going to play the Zen, right? What do you get out of the DPS here?
You can play Symmetra here. I think it's much the same principle as playing around the Reinhardt shield. And, being able to play frontline with that extra layer of protection.
I don't mind this. Like if you ran the double sniper, it's just maybe a Sonic arrow to check up above.
Yeah. Also, we get an Iris and Yada here. So very similar looks. Double sniper. Punish sort of positioning errors here if possible. See less of this from Merit, but again, definitely in his wheelhouse.
And Hanzo, you're able to pick up these kills from anywhere, right? Just a random headshot, it feels like at times. Hanzo is able to connect with, especially with the Discord too, to just burn players down with storm arrows, so.
Yeah, playing this corner, you're gonna be pretty careful, but they've got Hopper in such a compromising position, and he's still able to fight his way out of it. Although he's there by his side, and in he comes. Someone must have shown the bat signal because he descends upon Pelican.
They can't really fight inside against Hoppa there. When you have the long-range snipers, they don't have the sight lines to put down lots of damage. Charong able to just swing away on the brig. So Pelican now will go over to Tracer, so this will be an opportunity to finish off some of those kills if you get an advantage like that.
Still a little bit tough. I mean, always a risk going up against Zen, and Brigitte is very good at sort of displacing you as Tracer, moving you back to suboptimal ranges. Able to chase although away, at least, is Pelican. Widow shots ringing out from the background as both Hisu and Merit look to try and gain the upper hand. Again, you can't just push into Hopper right there. Chorong has insane healing at close range, but gets caught out there. Piggy able to punish Hotbar, although, more than happy. Getting his hands dirty here. Will need to cede some ground because they don't have that Sigma shield available.
It's trades for both teams, though, and the shield runs out from Piggy, and that'll be a shot from Hisu, finish him off, as Toronto may be able to stop any more payload progress, or really significant payload progress, as the Outlaws will get back on it now, but still don't have their tank in the mix.
Hopper back on the scene now.
I was going to say, I'm surprised Hisu didn't back up.
Very aggressive position, yeah. He's able to relocate, of course, with that grapple. Merits, although knows better. Yes, the dash away, just as the deflect duration is up. Recall there from Pelican. Here's the blade from Although, and everybody trying to jockey back. A defensive Gravitic Flux as well. Catches Hotbar at least. Will drop him fairly low. But the Outlaws don't have the mechanisms to sort of push that advantage any further, and that's a big Gravitic. Hotbar punishes Although, follows up.
What was interesting there, too, is that typically we see when the Graviton Surge is used, that's when we see Transcendence come out. They end up actually popping the Rally instead during that. Keeps them alive, which now you have that Transcendence to maybe fight a little bit longer on the payload if things get a little bit hectic. It's a interesting decision there, because typically the Transcendence is really the ultimate. That is big there, but maybe they felt there wasn't a lot of damage incoming with that Gravitic Flux coming through.
No one can hide sunlight.
All right, here it is, in for sight for both Widowmakers. Iris trying to work this shield down and then help his frontline of pressure. And although gets caught, Merit able to clean him up there. Discord Orb assisting, of course. Didn't even need the headshot. Oh my. Okay, Transcendence comes a little bit late for Twilight. What's he hoping for here? Pelican continuing to keep Hisu honest. Hopper's able to stay alive even when the Transcendence kept that Sigma in position to do damage, but is there more from the Defiant?
They use the Transcendence to just march on forward and kill Iris. I don't like that at all. I mean, maybe if you were going to pop it to save Chorong, and then you could have fought with the Brig and the Sigma in the close range. I kind of get that, but yeah, it seemed like he was holding it for so long, and you're usually wondering why. It's a bit of an odd use.
Obviously, using it in a short-handed situation doesn't bode well. Hotbar was able to use it to go aggressive, final elimination, but you're already so far behind in that fight. Pelican is playing the fringes here. I don't think Hisu's looking, but Pelican doesn't actually notice him, still sticks there. And Twilight with that Transcendence, he didn't hold on to. He is going to go down. A banger of a headshot on the Pelican though by Hisu, and Piggy's going to have to go for Shaman Hands here. Torong forced right back, and this is the Transcendence. Green light in more ways than one for the Outlaws to start playing a bit further forward. Torong has a shield bash to try and reposition, but it's unlikely to escape here. Look at the Discord Orb though. Piggy's taking a face full of damage, but although he gets caught in between, the Pelican's able to find him at a crucial moment. Gravitic Flux here used reactively. Not enough to remove Hotbar, but there's a lot of pressure coming his way. From a safe spot, Hisu gets rid of Piggy now. Hotbar eventually gets run over by his own Hyperspheres.
It's a chaotic fight as both rallies are popped there. Piggy ends up trying to turn that with his Gravitic Flux, as he knew that it was Charong and Hotba that were quite low around the corner, but the rally able to keep them up through that, as both teams just going wild with some of these ultimates. As maybe Houston thought that it was close enough. The players in Toronto are so spread out all over the place. Maybe they felt they were a little bit disjointed and could take advantage of it.
Hotbar wants to start with a Gravitic Flux. Yeah, he's going to pop it straight away.
Well, that's nobody's home.
Well, Hisu, yeah. Also, Hisu's not in position to, capitalize on that. You want the winner to have their stationary targets just to pop immediately. So I appreciate the attempt to be proactive, but that ultimate goes down the Gurgler. Dangerous, very dangerous. Merritt with 2, that's big. Iris slaps although back now, and Merritt will take to the skies. Toronto get punished as Hopper tries to go forward and start something up. They come away with ashes in their mouth.
I mean, do you need that Gravitic Flux to come up with something? They have no support ults on their side. If it just connects with anybody, take a look here, in for sight.
Stunning work.
That's sick stuff.
Some, assistance there, of course, but even so, that's exactly what the Outlaws were looking for there, especially after being able to sort of juke. We'll call it a juke. Hotbar's Gravitic Flux.
There's no reason, he didn't even have to do it that proactive, right? He could have just waited a little bit, like, for them to come up around that corner, maybe use it there a little bit safer.
Perhaps the Outlaws' position was sort of misrepresented to them. Either way, we digress somewhat now, as Merritt will take a pretty typical position here. And Lastro is trying to wrap around there. Hisu takes care of him. Although now knows where Merritt is and is more than happy just to let him know that he noticed him noticing that he's on notice.
Yeah, both supports down here for Houston. Gonna end up losing this. Just can they prevent some of these staggers? As you do not want to get baited here by Merritt into a headshot. Ooh, clean though there from Aldo.
Pretty darn aggressive from Aldo, to be fair.
Definitely aggressive, yeah.
37 seconds left in the round here. The Outlaws have been ground to a halt. They don't have great positioning here, not like they did earlier on. Getting that key kill on Lastro there. Hisu really opening out for Toronto to take some real estate. Hopper's pretty reluctant to give it up here. Although, I mean, good discipline.
Yeah.
Doesn't just recall there arbitrarily.
Play the clock, right? 10 seconds on the clock now for the Outlaws. This is the hardest turn. This home stretch is so difficult to get it to the end.
Although going to LOS with the card as much as he can, and Pelican has a pulse bomb. This could open the fight right up. But the Defiant are playing for the high and low ground respectively. Pulse bomb though from although not so good, and again get Tracer with a pulse. That's insanity. Pelican takes down although, still a job to do though now as the infrasight comes out from Hisu. A lot of pressure on Twilight, but he's up for the task. Pelican gets that Orb of Discord back and he'll have to look for another way to get into the fight. Hopper might be overwhelmed here if he's not careful. It's going to be a Transcendence to try and keep him up. But he's now below half health. The rally from Lastro sends the Outlaws forward. Twilight trying to play the stairs, but Lastro had his number dialed in. And Houston get the map done. No time left, but they'll be glad to get it home.
The support ult usage there from Toronto was lackluster, I would say. So you end up popping the rally, you don't get anything with it, nobody really stays alive. The Transcendence.
You pop that to keep Hopper alive inside the Gravitic Flux, and it looks like he's maybe outside of its effect or just isn't getting healed enough by it.
Yeah, and the Transcendence comes a bit late as well. Maybe they thought that the rally would have been enough, a little bit of a panic there towards the end. That's tough there for Toronto because that's like a long stretch of the map where you think you could be able to get a hold in that type of position, right? You just exchange ultimates, you have a defensive spawn, right? You're really just looking for kill trades at that point. Not able to come up with it.
I mean, your mental is absolutely boomed after your Tracer player getting stuck. It's a very rare occurrence indeed.
He had used the recall because he was coming back from trying to get a pulse bomb.
I was just saying he was being disciplined about not sort of using it arbitrarily, and he was caught without it when it really counted. Okay, yeah, we know this one. Very legal maneuver, don't you worry.
Very legal.
I think they're definitely trying to imply their presence above. So, okay, so we actually have merit here on that Symmetra, right? So we're seeing the Outlaws go back to that Reinhardt-based comp that we saw from them on Lijiang Tower, even. And that's sort of scouted out by Toronto here as we see the Pharah Mercy look. Again, Toronto did this in that first map.
And Hoppa on the Winston here, so not something we typically see out of Hoppa. But this should be able to put out loads of damage here because this Reinhardt comp wants to play in the close quarters. The Pharah damage with some Ashe damage could end up forcing it out in the open, but Hotba gets deleted.
And this is tough for Winston to play into this comp. Like, where do you go? Do you just wait for although to like take someone low and try and dive them? I mean, you have like decent amount of burst healing from Iris and an immortality field, so it really makes you think twice about diving at all as the Winston. TP. What is that TP? Okay, Lastro got caught. Ah, this is awkward for the Outlaws, man. Oh, no.
Barrage thrown in for good measure. Iris hit with a sleep as...
What's the plan with that TP?
Maybe they were just trying to like dodge a little bit of a way to relocate from that position because you're out there in the street. The shield's only going to last for a certain amount of time. They keep their Reinhardt in the mix. No Sim. They're going to bring in Cassidy here, who... The Cassidy will get outranged by Hisu, but maybe do some damage this far. Mercy. Hisu's behind enemy lines. Look at this. Hisu's going to come on a sick flank here.
On the Ashe, of all things, Merritt has no idea. Dynamite. That's all. Hisu's now giving away his position, and he lacks the mechanisms to escape in a pinch, but the Outlaws don't seem to mind too much about Hisu.
They're going to have to play card.
They've got to do something about this Ashe. Hisu is a real menace right now, and there it is.
Yeah, and that's a Lastro going back as well, putting some pressure on.
Could be a res there, yeah, based on where, although we're Chorong are pathing, but Hopper was already taken down. Piggy sleeping because he earned it. Ah, yes. Balance stability!
Yeah, that mag grenade's pretty strong. You know, the lock-on at close range.
Shouldn't have worn any metal items, Mercy. That's on you.
So now you come back for Toronto, you'll have a good bunch of ultimates, but Sound Barrier, Blizzard, you know, you get stuck in the Blizzard. There's really, you know, some not great targets to try and go after the Blizzard, right? Maybe after like a Winston leap after he comes in. Maybe a stop a big Primal.
It's bad. It doesn't feel good at all.
Not a great comp to use the Blizzard into.
Still though, the right clicks are consistent, although going deep. Barrage here is going to be answered by the Sound Barrier, and they shut the Pharah Menace down! Iris is the Deadeye in this instance. No chance to really res this safely. Chorong goes in anyway. Hoppa probably creates the just right amount of discord to get the Mercy in there. And they save Private, although.
And they get the Bob down in the street. No Ana for the Outlaws. So Bob able to get one. Bob putting down some damage from the side. It's not going to be enough, though, to take this first checkpoint.
Throwback to when we said that Pelican was in a terrible situation in this comp. Cast a curse there as he gets run down. A chance maybe to switch off of this, though, to something a little more comfortable. Hisu on the Hanzo now with Piggy. He's taken them to market.
And it seems to have not been it for the Toronto Defiant.
Hey, don't forget, this is their map pick.
This is their map pick. Which I get you want to force the Outlaws off of Doomfist play, but not let Piggy play the Sigma, right? Where he's really strong, and then play these rush comps, which a lot of teams can execute.
It's go time now for the Defiant. No more opportunities, this is their last chance. Wall thrown up there to try and cordon Hotba off for the rest of his team. Piggy's gonna move forward here. Deadeye creates some space, that's it. Chorong! Merrick cleans him up there as he tries to go upstairs. And he'll go all the way up to the pearly gates. Here's the sound barrier for the Houston Outlaws, and Hisu is too low to do anything about it. Twilight desperately trying to get some touch, and he'll make it to the cart, but he won't be rewarded with very much at all. And slap to the back of the head as the Houston say, no, this is our map too.
It's the Toronto Defiance map pick, but the Outlaws dominate on it. It's Toronto not even able to get point A, their own map selection as
Piggy Ryan, baby.
Well, and also the Sigma. If they're going to force you in a position where you got to play Hotba on the Winston, that is not an ideal scenario. I think if you're Toronto, you probably got to come back with Muse here. I think you got to bring him in to play that Winston in whatever next map we go into.
And again, it's going to be pushed, right? And you mentioned earlier on.
Yeah.
One of two maps here. Houston could quite happily bring the Doomfist back in. You said this had to be a map win for the Defiant if they wanted a map 5 scenario. I'm sure they'll be discussing now, of course, what the oncoming map's going to be. He's going to ask the players as they come off the stage. But the Outlaws now have the advantage, looking to put the Defiant away and advance in this lower bracket. Don't go anywhere.
Please don't let me in the mood.
Please don't let me into my zone. I just need some time of my own. All these people trying to get a conversation. You can conversate to that tone. Got eyes on that throne, yeah. So I'm never alone, yeah. All these people trying to box me in. I'm at whether it's on, yeah. Now they ask where I'm at. Making hits that line back. I'm MJ, I'm 2-3, man. I just need some time back. I'm zoned in like defense. My life gone, no recess. But I live my best one, so I got no regrets. So I'm gone. Finally back in my home. I'm working like so much. They swear I had me a clown. Can't answer my phone now. Just leave it there, that tone. Ballin' can't beat me up, cause I'm back in my zone now.
Well, the Toronto Defiant brought a silver bullet to this sundown duel, but it turned out to be a dud as Circuit Royale sees them get clobbered by the Reinhardt setup with Picky at the 4.
Absolutely destroyed there on Circuit Royale. And I picked Toronto at the beginning of this series to win, and I don't feel great about it right now. They do pick Coliseum going into the next map, so we'll have some time to break that down. But I'm more interested is we don't have either team making any subs. Looks like everybody's staying pat in terms of the rosters.
You got any predictions?
I mean, I think if you're Toronto, you're going to end up playing the Zarya-based stuff. Houston, it's interesting. You know, Piggy, we've seen him play some Winston. We've seen him play some Ryan. Like, we know you can play the off-tanks. Really flexible in terms of what they could do. Really outside of the Doomfist.
We know that Merit obviously has been showing up a lot when it comes to the Reaper, so much so that he's been playing it alongside Dante's Doomfist. A scenario in which, you know, there's a world where some of that defensive utility, i.e. the Zarya bubbles, gets dedicated towards this man on your screen, and maybe, just maybe, he's going to hit different. But again, this is a Toronto Defiant map pick. Again, their last one. Losing this game goes home.
You do not want to go to a Game 5 if you're Houston.
The winner takes on a slightly limping San Francisco Shock.
Right. I mean, they've gone to, what, 2 Game 5s so far? They've not looked clean whatsoever.
They've not found their sea legs even after 10 maps of play.
No, I mean, not great from the Shock. And no, some of those games, right, they've had to have Proper go absolutely crazy to be able to turn it. So
there were some choice words from the Gladiators about just where they thought the strength was on that San Francisco team.
Yeah.
To paraphrase, they definitely thought that Proper was the main cause for concern, the main threat on that team. Yep. So much so that the others did not pose one. Strong words from the Gladiators team, and they're in a position to make those claims, one would suppose. And the Outlaws would love a crack at them here. Send themselves further forward in this lower bracket.
I also think for Houston, you want to secure yourself as like a legitimate threat to, you know, break into some of that upper echelon in terms of the teams, right? It's, you know, you go out here and you lose to Toronto, who's what, our 6th seed. Obviously only separated by 1, but you still think that the Outlaws are a team that can reach that upper echelon, right? With the roster they put together and the big moves they made in the offseason.
And it's a world we get a Zarya mirror here. Definitely within Piggy's reach. Pelicans Tracer Mat, real highlight for the Houston Outlaws. Very, very solid across this entire series. And they've really needed him in a few of those clutch situations to step up. And as per usual, this guy is proving his worth, showing us kind of why the Outlaws were so desperate to get him. Obviously away from that Atlanta Reign roster.
So you get Iris and Pelican over from Atlanta. We know Lastro, a Toronto Defiant player. You kind of take pieces from everywhere. As it looks like both teams. I fully said Toronto Defiant to play the Zarya-based composition. It's really just kind of what do we see from the Houston Outlaws. Pelican can play so many different things. We've seen Hanzo a little bit.
I like the Hanzo, especially playing in the neutral part of this map. And also you can do a lot with that high ground as well if you are put in a defensive situation. Pelican's Hanzo has been really solid.
Long sight lines, the ability to just get those insta-kills, cross map pretty much. In a good spot potentially here with these Hanzo picks. The Hanzo opens the entire game up if you're able to get a pick at this long range.
And again, adds a pinch of volatility here as sometimes there's a headshot out of nowhere and it's go, go, go.
You see those storm arrows, those bounce off the wall. Those almost end up killing although. Gets to like 1 shot there.
Pressure there for Pelican, but the objective's still locked. There wasn't really much point in going forward. Now though, different story. Sonic Arrow is going to make sure that, you know, the Outlaws can keep tabs on Although and make sure he's not trying to flank, right? Sometimes that's an option. Both of these teams trying to make sure they stay well informed about the flanking soldiers.
So the robot's got to be so confused. Back and forth, back and forth. Nobody's made any progress here as Pelican gets himself in a dangerous spot, and 2 kills in favor of Toronto. That should be enough to get the bot moving.
Yeah, Merritt obviously getting caught in some kind of compromising position, and Hisu just adds a kill there, a headshot at long range. So we build a critical mass sometimes in that neutral fight. And the Defiant are the ones that come up with the goods here. Very good start for them. And they can again use that Hanzo to kind of get favorable position, even if they have to play, you know, overall from the low ground.
Yeah, they can try and control the high ground. They also have the Dragon Strike here to use, potentially split players off, get an early kill. You don't have to exactly combo it with the grab if you don't want to, but in a spot where teams usually back up, Mitch, the Toronto Defiant are keeping this bot moving.
Yeah, they'd rather not, I think, have to, you know, again, take the risk on whether Hanzo fight to headshot on that neutral fight. They can access the high ground here. Speculative Dragon Strike at longer range from Hisu, and Pelican got him with a Sonic. Hotbar is here though, and he's well and truly charged up. He was the recipient of the nano boost there. Pinky just got carved out of his bubbles, and why not go for the grab here? Why not extend your lead and advantage? Houston subdued early on Colosseo.
Yeah, nice play from Hotbar. This Zarya as the bot's going to get to that first checkpoint. You just have Hisu coming back, so you can still try and keep advancing here. If you're Toronto.
Piggy coming to the fight late, so not charged up, still able to pressure Hotbar down and lets that grab go. Is there follow-up? Oh, Pelican's not there, but the Dragon Strike came through for the old classic.
And I like the idea for Toronto to hold on to sound barrier. You didn't have Hisu in that fight at the time.
I mean, it's not going to save you from Grab Dragon, right?
You got a good push in terms of how far the bot has gone. 65 meters. Why burn it there? You can match sound barrier for sound barrier with your tac visor coming into this. The advantage that the Outlaws will have is that nano boost for the tac visor, but maybe you can, you know, line of sight it, get away.
Also, if your Zarya gets charged up, Piggy might receive that as well, as we saw from Hotbar. Legitimate damage threat at 100. And you see Piggy's playing aggressively, gets the nano straight away, but although very quickly moves into a flanking position, this just stops the Outlaws in their tracks. They can't, you know, brute force their way through with Piggy, and essentially, all those positioning shuts down the nano play.
Yeah, and Iris uses the nano, but not with the visor. So now you're going to have the sound barrier coming in for both teams. The Outlaws should last a little bit longer, though, as it comes in towards the end.
Tac visor there from both sides. Merritt, the sound barrier to back up the Outlaws' aggression. Okay, that's a crucial fight to win. Now the question is, how well entrenched can they get? So to play on the causeway with that Hanzo, keeping Pelican alive is going to be of utmost importance.
They're in a good spot to continue pushing this bot further and maybe even beating the Defiant's push, because nothing really huge coming up now, as I guess the only thing available, it'll be a nano plus maybe a Gravier for the Defiant, but Houston, they back up. They don't want to take that fight in that position. That's what a lot of teams usually do, and yeah, against with the high ground, you can't.
Still, they're going to be a little susceptible to Hopper's Graviton Surge if he's able to nail this one. Yeah, bot's going to roll back here. The Outlaws just saying we want the fight in the neutral. We trust Pelican to find keep damage or even picks. Pelican's also building towards Piggy building towards a Graviton Surge of his own.
I was going to say, this neutral battle has allowed Houston to build up some ultimates of their own. Grab Dragon available.
Lastro's the only one going to caught in the grab. Hotbar and Choron, though, get eaten up, and that Dragon was hungry. Hotbar's nano boost that was going to allow him to stay alive. Piggy's furious.
Oh, it's that nano is so clutch to keep Hotbar up.
Ah, yes.
Hisu with the wiggle there, able to dodge some of those bullets from Merritt. The bot gets back moving in the Toronto Defiance direction.
Dangerous.
They don't even really need more push, right?
Well, look,
2 minutes and 40.
The bot pushes past the sort of more dangerous parts here. They can definitely inch it forward, and they will if they win a fight. So, you know, they back up, but only a little bit to try and take some favorable positions. Pelican's going to make that pretty problematic for them. Hisu found the Dragon Strike, but it doesn't seem to have bothered the Outlaws too much. Okay, there's information there on where Twilight is, so Storm Arrows get thrown in. Hisu revealed by that Sonic. Lastros is going to chase, as you know only he can. And the Outlaws are back in the driver's seat.
It's that fight. Nothing really happens outside of Pelican getting that first pick. Everybody starts to just back away there for Toronto. So if you're Toronto, you know, you take it in the middle of the map, but Pelican gets a first kill.
Crucially getting rid of Hisu now, enabling a flank angle, getting information as well as Hopper tries to back away, but Piggy wants to get aggressive. He's got a nano boost and he's put to sleep. Great response from Twilight, and look at this, Hopper just lopes forward, says now we have an advantage, a chance to push again back against the Outlaws. The green tide is halted and the Defiant still have to lead.
Yeah, and although pushes on forward and gets some players with attack visor, Merit the last one to fall, so the bot going back into Outlaws territory as, man, this is looking like we're gonna have a game 5 probably written all over it if this continues. A minute and 20. Almost, the Outlaws almost need to double the time currently. They're getting these first picks, but not turning it into anything.
I mean, what do you do about this grab now? Lastro beats. Okay, comes at a good time. He holds it for just a little bit there. The Defiant have no interest in using the grab dragon combo, it seems. They use them independently of each other quite often. The Outlaws say, okay, well, we're going to have to use a beat here, but it's more than worth it. We need to get on the old dusty trail map. They need to get a move on.
Less than a minute to go here. I think if you're Toronto, you try and force out that grab dragon, maybe even the attack visor, and then you're playing for that next fight, right? Last fight territory.
Okay, grab's on surge for Hopper. They want to try and get out of this neutral scenario. They need to get the bot moving.
It's totally fine, though, if you're Toronto. Grab dragon for one player. Make it 2 towards the end. You still have sound barrier. You come back. They don't have a nano for the visor. You'll have a nano, and you have your sound barrier. You're in a good spot if you're the Defiant. You're gonna have to get back pretty quick, but also the bot's gonna stop here, right?
Yeah, the butt scratch is gonna cost the Outlaws crucial seconds of advantage. It's gonna get close now. Merit in attack visor position. Good damage on Hopper, warding him away for now. But I mean, you've got to be careful. If Hisu just takes your head off, it's all over. 4 meters separate these two teams. Immediate sound barrier use from the Defiant. The margins are too slim to take any risks here, and Piggy has gone down. Merit chases though. He's found Hisu. Make it 2. He's going to eventually fall as Turon pursues him. Still a lead for the Toronto Defiant now. Iris has to get himself out of this sticky situation, and he has the answer. The sleep dart slows Hopper down. No chance for this Zaya, but still a legitimate threat, forcing away the Outlaws. But Pelican comes out of nowhere. That's 2 of the Storm Arrows, and they're in there still. I cannot believe what I'm seeing.
Pelican gets the nano boost and kills everybody.
Immortality field has to be there for Twilight, but it's going to get removed pretty quickly. 0.07 meters. The butt scratch is happening, but the Dragon Strike is there to force the Defiant away. The Outlaws skid millimeters away from victory, and they're done. What am I watching? The Houston Outlaws. Say what's a town without a sheriff? We're not going anywhere.
Dude. Pelican went absolutely crazy. He gets the nano and just goes. He doesn't miss a shot with Hanzo, I'm convinced, for the last like 45 seconds. Just absolutely dominates the game there towards the end. It takes over when the Outlaws needed to play the most. Pelican, I mean, that's like a moment, you know, we talked a little bit about it, like maybe gets off to a little bit of a slow start this season. That's the type of moment that turns everything around.
But one of the most fated moments of individual brilliance that I've seen in my many years presiding over Overwatch League matches on the level of Shoes Baptiste in Havana, on the level of EQO's Dragon Blade. The Outlaws trying to console their opponents here is, I mean, again, if you're Hisu, you just can't believe what has happened. You get an early lead, you look strong, you play the conservative, the safe game.
They have like no ults there at the end. One, the sleep on Hoppa from Iris when he is so low. I mean, that is so clutch. The biotic grenade keeping himself alive, the nano, Lastro there in the mix as well. But at that point, Pelican's the one who's got to finish them all off, right? He's the only source of damage at that time. Nano with the Hanzo, and he goes on He goes on a running riot there. It's like just absolutely dominates. That was wild, man.
Still a little bit of magic left in these halls yet. Truly incredible moment, and what a great opportunity to get some words from the man himself. Let's go down to the stage with Danny and the star of the show.
Yep, you guys are right. I am here with the star of the show, Mitch and Matt. Thank you very much. I have Pelican here from Houston Outlaws. First of all, before I start, I do want to say we talk about who to interview who I want to interview for the post-match interview, and I was just like, Pelican's gonna do something crazy. Pelican's gonna do something crazy. I was like, I want to talk to Pelican, and I was right. What a crazy fight that was. What was going through your head at that moment? 방금 했던 진짜 거의 신의 한타라고 할 수 있을 것 같습니다. 네. 아나한테 뽕을 받고 이제 거의 뭐 신들린 사람처럼 네, 막 마구잡이 막 쏘기 시작했는데 좀 그때 좀 현 상황을 좀 설명해 주세요. 어떠셨나요?
그때 이제 우리 자리아가 힐 못 받고 이제 죽은 상황인데 갑자기 나노가 들어오더니 이거는 해야 된다. 이거 안 하면 진다. 그래가지고 이제 심장 쿵쾅쿵쾅 거리면서 이제 싹 다 잡아버리는 이제. 네.
All right. So as soon as I got the nano, I just knew that this was my moment. My heart was beating super fast. I knew that I had to make a really, really big play, get all the kills, as much kills as I can, and I knew that this was my moment and that I had to take this, and I did it. And you honestly won that fight and won the match for Houston Outlaws. That was crazy. All right, let's talk. This was our last match. Let's talk about tomorrow. You guys are going to be facing off against San Francisco Shock, I believe. And I did my research, I looked it up. Week 2, you guys went up against San Francisco Shock, and the match score was 3-1 in favor of San Francisco Shock. So this is time for your revenge. Anything you want to say to San Francisco Shock? 자, 마지막으로 이제 내일의 경기에 대해서 좀 이제 얘기를 해보고 싶어요. 제가 알기로 마지막에 센쇼과의 경기가 3대1로 센쇼가 이긴 걸로 알고 있습니다. 내일 경기 상대인 센쇼에게 펠리칸 선수 마지막 한마디 카메라 보면서 부탁드리겠습니다.
이제 그때는 저희가 실수가 너무 많아서 진 건데 이번에는 3대0 그냥 내버리도록 하겠습니다.
Last time we played, I feel like we made a lot of stupid mistakes, but this time around, tomorrow, we're going to make it an easy 3-0 for the Houston Outlaws. Pelican, thank you so much. That's all we got here. Mitch and Matt, back to you.
I mean, Pelican's not wrong if we cast our minds back over the series.
Daddy's laughing. I have no idea what the hell we just watched. I mean, that was just like, I mean... But yeah, we gotta watch that. I mean, there's gotta be a replay or something coming. I mean, that was just insane. Like, you think back to like Shoes Batiste and EQO's Blade, like those are, they were like sick moments, right? But it felt like it was like very short. It felt like he was alive on Hanzo for like 35 seconds alone, just killing everybody.
Just didn't miss a shot. I mean, yeah, I don't think we're using hyperbole when we talk about it.
It was like he had tack visor. just
how huge that moment was. Let's talk about our player of the match. Who do you reckon it is? Yeah, I know. Yeah, Pelican is going to be taking it away. In fact, we had him slated for it even before this happened. And it was on the basis, I think, of his just consistency when it came to... I mean, it was the May first, the Tracer second.
I mean, let's be real. He could have done nothing the rest of the series, and he would have won player of the match just off of that sequence of play. He was good the rest of the game, though. His versatility, the May, the Echo, I thought his Tracer was really strong today. But man, Hanzo at the end just... Like, you would just forget everything else that happened in the series. It was just so bonkers. He looked like...
One.
Like, and then he kills this guy, turns around. There's a soldier coming around that, although his visor at that point.
Yeah, he's shot down.
He's coming around his visor. Who's this guy? He's gonna die. Yup, that guy's dead. Let's go top. Let's go kill another person. Shoot a dragon. I mean,
not often there's justification to nano boost your Hanzo player, but when he starts doing this, keeping Pelican alive at all costs is absolutely critical. 13 final blows, 6 deaths, and again, his Dragon Strike, a crucial part of like the momentum stopper, combined with the Graviton Surge, that the Outlaws were comboing really effectively. What an incredible moment from an incredible player.
There's a good chance that that's the craziest play we see all year. Like, there's a chance that like that play. Like, I mean, I just can't think of like anybody who could replicate something like that. Like, just that moment and just him being able to turn up like that and here at this event, like that's a sick moment this year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one we're going to be replaying for a while.
I was really hoping to try and maintain my voice for the course of this tournament. That one might have done it in. Insane stuff here, of course, live from the Esports Stadium in Arlington. We're going to cross over to our friends, though, after this to break down the day that was with incredible moments. Just truly insane action here from this very place. And some teams being sent home. I want to talk about their stories and sort of how those ended. So stick around, everybody. Watchpoint Crew has got you from here.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.